A major anti-drug operation has uncovered a massive cannabis plantation in Edo State, with the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency arresting 5 suspects and destroying a farm estimated to have a potential yield of more than 1.2 tons of cannabis. The operation exposes the scale of the illegal drug trade operating in parts of Edo State and shows how drug enforcement officers are increasingly targeting not just street-level dealers, but farms, warehouses, and supply networks behind the trade. The question is, how deep does the illegal drug network run in Edo? Or what else could investigators uncover as the crackdown continues? According to the Edo State Command of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the operations were carried out between August 18th and August 19th, 2026 across different locations in the state. The first major operation took place in Ukaro Forest in Owan West local government area. On August 18th, specialized National Drug Law Enforcement Agency officers reportedly entered the forest after receiving intelligence about a cannabis plantation operating in the area. What they found was a cannabis farm covering approximately 0.496 hectares. The estimated yield was placed at 1,240.9 kilograms. That is more than 1.2 tons of cannabis potentially being produced from a single plantation. 3 men were arrested during the operation. They were identified as 50-year-old Umohimi Ugebe, 27-year-old Usihoro Saturday, and 23-year-old Bala Sunday. The officers destroyed the plantation and removed samples of the cannabis plants. They also seized half a bag of processed cannabis weighing approximately 5.5 kilograms. The destruction of the plantation represents an important part of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency's strategy. Rather than waiting for cannabis to reach cities and local markets, officers are increasingly attempting to disrupt production at its source. And the Edo operation did not end with the destruction of the farm. The following day, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency operatives moved into another part of the state. This time, their target was an illicit drug warehouse in Uhumudumu, Epoma, in Esan West local government area. What investigators reportedly discovered inside the warehouse was a collection of different controlled substances. The agency recovered 319 bottles of codeine cough syrup. There were also 1,340 capsules of tramadol. Officers recovered 344 tablets of Rifinol and another 222 tablets of Danabol. No arrest was made at the warehouse during the operation, but the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency said investigators were already pursuing the suspected owner of the drugs. That development is significant because the discovery of a warehouse containing multiple categories of controlled substances could point investigators towards a broader distribution operation. The focus will now be on identifying who owns the stock, where the drugs came from, and where they were intended to go. Then came another operation in Benin City. 2 more suspects were arrested in possession of what the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency described as Canadian Loud, a potent strain of synthetic cannabis. The suspects were identified as 29-year-old Zege Japhet and 43-year-old Ifeanyi Ogashi. Japhet was reportedly found with 185 grams of substance, while Ogashi had another 105 grams. Together, the 2 suspects were allegedly carrying 290 grams. That means that within just 2 days, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency operation in different parts of Edo had uncovered a cannabis plantation, an illicit drug warehouse, and a separate supply of controlled substances. 5 suspects were arrested across the operations, but the numbers tell only part of the story. Behind every seizure is a supply chain. There are more people involved in cultivation. There are people processing the drugs. There are distributors moving the substances. There are warehouses where illegal drugs can be stored, and there are buyers waiting for the products. Breaking that chain requires more than individual arrests. It requires intelligence gathering, surveillance, investigations, and cooperation between security agencies and communities. That is why the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency says its operations will continue. Edo State has long been identified as one of Nigeria's areas where cannabis cultivation occurs, particularly in remote forest locations. The geography represents a major challenge. Large forests can provide concealment for plantation and make it difficult for authorities to detect illegal cultivation until intelligence points them towards the location. The latest operation demonstrates how intelligence can change that equation. Once the location of the plantation was identified, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency officers were able to move in, arrest suspects, and destroy the farm. But the destruction of one plantation does not automatically eliminate the wider problem. The agency will need to continue tracking the people who finance cultivation, provide seeds and equipment, arrange transportation, and distribute the finished products. The same applies to the warehouse discovered in Epoma. The drugs recovered there did not simply appear inside the building. Someone acquired them, someone transported them, someone stored them, and someone was presumably expecting them to reach another destination. That is where the ongoing investigation becomes crucial. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency Edo State Commander, Michel Ofoyeju, said the operation demonstrates the agency's commitment to combating drug abuse and protecting communities. He also used the opportunity to send a message directly to young Nigerians. Speaking at the Scouts Association of Nigeria's inaugural National Youth Camp in Benin City, Ofoyeju urged young people to engage in constructive activities and understand the risks associated with drug abuse.
The command also intensified anti-drug abuse education with a total of 26 programs conducted within the period to highlight the dangers of drug trafficking and abuse. 28 drug-dependent clients were rehabilitated, while 66 others received counseling and were reunited with their families.
The event brought together young participants from several states, including Ogun, Oyo, Kogi, and Delta. The message from the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency is that enforcement alone cannot solve the problem. Prevention matters as well. Young people need education, skills, and opportunities that can reduce exposure to drug abuse and criminal activities. But enforcement remains a critical part of the equation. The latest Edo operation shows why. A single cannabis farm was estimated to have the capacity to produce more than 1,200 kilograms of cannabis. An illicit warehouse contained hundreds of bottles and thousands of tablets of controlled substances. And another operation intercepted hundreds of grams of a potent cannabis product in Benin City. These are not isolated street-level quantities. They point to organized supply. And that is precisely what investigators will need to pursue next. The 5 suspects now face investigation over their alleged involvement in the illegal drug trade, while the suspected owner of the Epoma warehouse remains a target of the ongoing operation. The bigger battle is much larger than the individual arrested. It is about cutting off the supply before illegal drugs reaches communities, schools, streets, and vulnerable young people. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has made it clear that the operations will continue. For residents of Edo State, the message is equally clear. The agency is moving deeper into forests, warehouses, and urban distribution points. And with intelligence-driven operation expanding across the states, more arrests and seizures could follow. The latest crackdown has already exposed a massive cannabis plantation, a warehouse packed with controlled substances, and another drug supply operation in Benin City. The question now is simple. Who else is behind the network? And how far will the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency go to uncover them? I'm Chimezrim Okoro, and I will see you soon.